Hey, what's going on, guys? So basically, what just happened is that Trump decided to come out and say he's not going to sign the actual stimulus deal that they just came out with. So that's kind of crazy because everybody expected him to sign it. And since he's not signing it, he has taken his time to, I guess, in a sense, kind of, cry me a river and get everything he wanted to get off his chest. So, um, what he talked about in his live stream is that he talked about how he thought there were so many different things within the actual package that he didn't agree with, which was like money for different countries and things like that, and money for like different militaries and things like that, which isn't a part of the stimulus package. So that's actually something that's a part of the government funding. So the government funding, the omnibus deal includes like a whole bunch of stuff. Like it includes a ton of different things, like for Homeland Security, for I mean NASA, etc. And so a lot of those other budget spending that we saw for that he talked about in his live, like money going there is actually for that part. It has nothing to do with the actual COVID relief package. It's just the omnibus. So they're trying to pass both of them. But as for the actual stimulus, he's saying he wants $2,000 checks. So of course, everybody is hopping on board with that now. So like with him demanding and saying that he wants $2,000 checks, what's kind of funny is that you actually have now where the Democrats are taking that and they're taking that as an advantage to say, well, you know what? We want $2,000 checks too. So I know you had Rashida Tlaib, I think it's Tlaib or something like that, and AOC to actually get it done already. So it's pretty interesting to see what happens. Everybody was expecting, to have the stimulus so you get the money, get some money and things like that. Um, yeah, a lot of people, the money. And so what happened is what you start to see is me and my boxer dog need this stimulus. He needs some new dog treats, and I need a new bed. I I I definitely understand. Definitely understand. I think a lot of people need this money, and so what happens is, yes, it's nice that you know that's more money for the people. However, it's been so long. I mean, people have been needing money since what, May, since June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And now they're just now kind of getting around to actually getting to a place where they can actually, pass a deal. And then this happens. And he does, his press conference about it. And he talks about how he's disgusted with the things that are within the package. Like there's money for this and money for that. So here's a disclaimer though with the government, those things are normal. Like he's making it seem like all these different special interest things that are being asked for, like it's something different. It's not anything different. When governments always do this stuff and government funding, this stuff is normally included. Even with stimulus packages, there's always special interest things where money is going to different places that have really nothing to do with the people. And a lot of times that's what the biggest argument's about, is not really about you. Now, if you know anything about stimulus plans, and you understand stimulus plans, the people, the government, they're the last people on the list. So him complaining and talking about that stuff is not anything new. Like it's not like it's unheard of or like it's so crazy because that's what our government does. They give a lot of money to a lot of other things that don't necessarily come to the working people here in America. And so he used that to kind of set up, his Crimea River speech about the election. So he spoke longer about the election and how he was such disgrace and how, there's no way that Biden won and to go through that whole process. So he did like a 10-minute speech about that. It was very difficult for me to listen to because I don't care anything about the election. It's over. and he's still fighting because he believes he's supposed to be in office. All we care about is people being helped during this time. But obviously, that's not his turn. And he's using it, just like they do. So they've been playing chess this whole time. As soon as he announced that, it's the Democrats was on it right away. Like I said, he asked them to have an amendment for the bill, and he actually, and what happened is some of the Democrats immediately they already had an amendment, so they've been playing chess with this whole thing, and it's unfortunate because not everybody has the ability during this time to make money or to have the money, and there's people really suffering, and so it's the more and more it's delayed, the more and more that we hold this thing up. Um, just disclaimer, guys, I'm at home. I don't do live because I have a wife and 3 kids and my kids are awake. So if you hear any screaming, that's them upstairs. I have my door shut, but they can't. They ain't going to sleep. So, but we've had this all this time where we've been trying to get something done, and we get this far, and then they play these political games because we do have the election that's coming up in Georgia, and so they're just using these different things to kind of get what they want. And as much as they say they care about the people, it's obvious that they don't care about the people. So Trump wants $2,000 per adult. There's really no indication about far as kids and things like that. And right now, everybody's waiting on Mitch McConnell, Money Mitch, to say something. All the Democrats have already agreed and said, yeah, we'll amend it for the COVID relief. Now, when it comes to the omnibus deal, I don't know how that's going to go, or if they're going to be able to pass it separately, or how it's going to happen. But as far as the COVID relief, everybody's agreed to say, hey, they'll take, the 2,000. And of course, Democrats are happy to do that. One of the things he mentions was about the, illegal aliens, people who are not necessarily from the U.S., and how they would be getting more money than, regular citizens. And that's not true at all. He just used a play on words, like he talked about, they could get $1,800. Well, that's just taking, numbers and putting them together, like a family of 3 getting $1,800 because they do it based off a family of 4. So if you have a family of 4 and someone is, an illegal alien and they're not going to get a stimulus check. So, but if a family of 4 and all of them do get a stimulus check, that's 2,400. So he comes out and he says, oh, they're going to get 1,800. And that's more than the American people. And that's not true at all. But he definitely used his time to do as he does, him and his team, to be marketing professionals and geniuses to set up the stage because he has everybody's opinion to really talk about what he really wants. And it has nothing to do with the stimulus. It's all about the election and him just, he's still thinking that he has a chance to actually, still be president in the next term. So it's unfortunate for the people. I'm sorry to see, how this has happened right here, especially right before the end of the year. And you still have things like the eviction moratoriums and so many different things that expire at the end of this month. And with no deal in place, that means that people don't get the help they need. They don't get the help they want because technically still there's no deal. So I guess we'll see what happens tonight. If there's anything, that will happen, like, I haven't seen any updates on Mitch McConnell yet, so it's crazy. But I wanted to go live because obviously there's no time to record and edit a whole video. But because I have put these stimulus videos on my channel, I mean, I got to give an update, especially if you're giving information about time and dates and stuff that when it's coming out. And here we are, you know, waiting to see what happens. Our government is playing chess with people. So, but as of right now, there's really no updates except the Democrats. They have decided that, they are definitely on board for the $2,000. The Democrats, that's a yes. Um, but everybody's waiting to hear back from Money Mitch, Mitch McConnell. I mean, he hasn't responded to saying the word as of right now. Like it's almost like is he sleep or something. I don't know. But yeah, I haven't seen the updates just yet. So um, I'll probably be checking around just like everybody else, just trying to see, what's happening and see if there's anything that could possibly happen. Because the later we wait, not only does it affect, not just the stimulus checks, but it also affects the unemployment as well. So the unemployment for most people runs out next week. So if there's no deal in place, then that means people are going without unemployment. Not talking about just the boost, but literally like like the state unemployment too. There's a lot of people who had that extension and things like that. It runs out in December based off of when most people filed, which was like at the beginning of the year. So it runs out. So there's so many different things attached to this. So hopefully, you know, they won't play chess around this again and they'll go ahead and get it done. So that was crazy to hear that. Like, I actually was watching live because I wanted to see what was happening because there's things like the EIDL, um, the rental assistance. There's so many different things attached to this that, for me, I pay attention to a lot because it dictates the market. For example, rental assistance. Well, if people don't get help with their mortgage and stuff like that, and then you let something like the moratoriums expire, and then that means that the proceedings for people being evicted is now allowed. That's going to heavily affect the real estate market. Right now, real estate is on a high, like it's soaring, like it's hot right now. Something like that. Some people say, "Oh, it won't affect it that bad," but I think it will affect it because whereas real estate has been going very, very well, we have more people behind on their mortgage and rent than ever before. And then like just looking at the EIDL for small businesses and things like that, because that's also an opportunity for those that have side hustles or they're, they have their own businesses, like if they're driving for Uber or anything that they do to where they're able to, they might be, we don't know the details yet, but they might be able to access that money. So not being able to have a package pass is critical, especially if you have people that have been subject to not being able to really work or do anything or do as much as they need to for so many reasons. Even for people who may have, their own business, but and their kids are home. So the kids are home, 24/7, and they're not able to work as much as they normally do as a business owner, just because of the whole pandemic. So that can affect somebody's income depending on the nature of their business. So being able to access money and things like that is super important. And so seeing our government just play the chess game for all political game, like it's so disheartening to see that. But that is the nature of our government. So Trump wants $2,000 stimulus checks. Like, I mean, it's definitely more money. But at this point, people need something and they don't have anything. So it's like $2,000 right now is a wish versus the 600 was a sure shot. But you see how that went. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, about the $2,000, and I don't know how you guys feel. If you prefer 2,000, would you wait, or if you wanted the 600? Because that's something you could have had now and they could have got the checks to you next week versus just 2000 and then they complain about the omnibus, don't know, what's going to happen. um so it's pretty crazy, just praying that something happens for those that are really in a position to where they cannot just make any type of money. Like, I've met a few people even in my area who are distraught. Some of them have lost their homes behind this, just the whole thing, not being able to work, losing their job, different things like that. Because our moratoriums had expired at one point, et cetera. So there's a lot of evictions that are held up in court right now because of the moratoriums that are in different areas, et cetera, all that. Um, so yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but that's what happened. If you're just joining Trump, he decided not to sign the bill for the second stimulus. If you're just joining, and so he gave a long speech as to why, just talking about how, and he's real smart. He played it to his benefit. Like, he's talking about all the money that's going to this and going to that, and all the special interest stuff, and that's what our government does. That's exactly what our government does. Our government does stuff like that all the time. So what he's saying is nothing that he hasn't benefited from also. But that's how our government does is they play on words and someone like him whose team is ingenious enough to know how to play on emotions, they waited for the right moment. Because he said, hey, we're gonna sign it. Just put it on our desk, we're gonna sign it. Did they bring it? And he has like all of this stuff to say. And of course, because he's losing the election, or he's lost the election, I guess, and he's not supposed to be the next president. He's definitely using this as, like I said before, like a Crimea River speech to get off his chest how he feels because he feels like he won by a landslide and that there's no way that Joe Biden could win. So he used this to really set up the stage to talk about that the most. He barely talked about the stimulus. That was over in like a few minutes, and then he just talked about the election and how much that it was cheated, and they even played a clip of some people at one of the voting booths pulling out suitcases that he said that they kicked out Republican people that watched the votes and things like that and they kicked them out, and then they actually was bringing out different streams and stuff like that. So nice stream, Joseph. You're very eloquent. Merry Christmas. Best of luck with your pursuits. Hey, thanks, Rambo. 4505. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you and the family too. And a happy new year. So um appreciate the comment. But yeah, so it's definitely something that, you know, you hate to hear. It was a shock. And if you know, he's an entertainer, so he plays off of that. But the most important thing is right now is that we get something passed so that people can, get some type of money before the year ends. Um, he even said like, or we'll just leave it for I'm not going to sign this deal, or we'll just leave it for the next, administrators. And that next administration, it might be me. That's what he said. So I feel like he just waited for this moment on purpose. No matter what the deal would have been, I feel like he still would have did it. But most of his stuff, his issues were that didn't have anything to do with stimulus. It was about the omnibus bill. One of the craziest things, though, is that he did right before that speech is he made a bunch of pardons, and he granted clemency to a lot of different people before that. Now, you're not going to see much about that. But the funny thing about this is like if you were to read the clemencies and the pardons, for example, I'll read some of them. So President Trump granted clemency to 20 people, including three former Republican members of Congress and two people who were convicted of crimes as part of the investigation into the Russian interference in 2016. He's also pardoned four military contractors convicted of killing 14 unarmed Iraqi civilians in Baghdad in 2007. The clemency extended to several people convicted of drug offenses, including some who already benefited from initial commutations. So, this is the stuff this is how politics work. So, one of the things with politics is the media always puts something out front. And so, this is what you see. But behind it, there's always a whole bunch of things going on. And that's the part that a lot of people don't pay attention to. So you're not going to hear much about these pardons, but you're going to hear a lot about, oh, the stimulus stuff. Like it's all set up like that. That's how it's set up. So it's like it's funny because he did that right before he came out with the speech. And so I encourage you if you're trying to learn about economics or finances or anything, don't just study what people talk about or in front of the media all the time, but study what's not talked about. Find out what's going on behind the scenes, and you'll find out that there's a lot of things going on. And sometimes there's things that you could actually partake in and benefit from, and you didn't know that you could. So, um, but yeah, one of the things that Nancy Pelosi said right after it was that, well, Mitch McConnell never let them know what how much the checks were that Donald Trump wanted, that he wouldn't answer the question. And so they're blaming Mitch for it, like saying, well, he never told us how much Donald Trump wanted. He never he just acted as if he knew. And so everybody's playing the blame game. But on one side, all the Democrats, they're on board for $2,000 checks, and everybody's just waiting on your boy Money Mitch to come through and say yes. So hopefully he's smart enough to just say yes, and he doesn't try to play the political game because the Republicans don't want to do the $2,000. They don't want to give people that. Hopefully, they'll just say yes so they can help the people. Hopefully, they're thinking about people in this scenario and not because they're not struggling at all. So crazy times. Really wish this wasn't the case and it didn't go this way. But yeah, guys, that's what's happening. Sorry for anyone that was really banking and depending on, you know, unemployment or any money right now, or just that stimulus because you're on the last leg. Which I've gotten several comments like that on this channel about that. So, um, sorry that this is still delayed, but we're hoping that something can happen, um, you know, soon, and they get an amendment to him like tomorrow, and then he signs it. So, but for the most part, most of Congress is approving to do $2,000 checks, um, which would be better, but just the timing. So hopefully we can get this through. But that's it, guys. I'm not gonna hold you long. I didn't want to belabor the news to try to do a video and edit. But I did want to give an update since I just put like two stimulus videos out on my YouTube channel. So if I known this would happen, I wouldn't even did them at all. But yeah, but hopefully we'll see what happens, because they do work, throughout the night. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in the morning. Hopefully it's some good news. So yeah. Yeah, so we'll just be checking through. But all right, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. And like I said, hoping for some good news. All right, y'all take care. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Peace out. Thanks for joining the live too.